I shot my husband in the knee with his own service pistol that night, the crack echoing through our empty ranch house like God's own judgment. And as he crumpled to the floor screaming, I whispered, "This is for the daughter you killed." But he didn't die, not then. Anyway, and in the ambulance's wail, I realized the truth was worse. He'd buried her alive in my heart for 31 years. And now she was clawing her way back. The hospital called at 3 a.m. Not for him, but for me. Their voice clinical and detached. MS. Peyton Harlow. We have your daughter here. She's alive. The rain hadn't stopped since the shot, drumming on the tin roof of the ambulance bay like it was trying to wash away the sin of what I'd done. I'd followed the paramedics out, numb, my hands still smelling of gunpowder, the weight of the pistol heavy in my purse like a guilty secret. Jake, my husband of 35 years, groaned from the gurney, his uniform pants shredded at the knee, blood soaking the white sheets. "Peyton, you crazy bitch," he rasped through the morphine haze, his cop eyes locking on mine with that same cold calculation that had kept me chained to him since we were kids in that godforsaken trailer park outside Tulsa. "You'll rot for this." I didn't care. Not anymore. The ER waiting room was a fluorescent purgatory, filled with the hacking coughs of chain smokers and the whimpers of kids with broken arms. I sat there, staring at the vending machine's glow, replaying the argument that led to the bullet. It started over nothing, a spilled coffee, his late nights at the precinct that smelled like cheap bourbon and other women's perfume. But it always did, didn't it? Peel back the layers.
And it was about Ellie.
Our daughter. The one we'd buried in a pauper's grave after the accident at the quarry. Her tiny body wrapped in a blanket I'd sewn myself, blue threads like veins under pale skin. She'd been 6 months old, colicky and perfect. And one humid July afternoon in 1994, Jake had taken her for a drive to give you a break, pay, and came back with a story about the car slipping on gravel, tumbling into the water.
Drowned.
My baby, gone in a blink. I'd believed him because I had to. We were young, broke. Him a rookie cop with dreams of a badge that could buy us out of Oklahoma dust. I was waitressing doubles at the diner, my hands raw from grease traps, dreaming of a house with a picket fence. The funeral was a blur, his department buddies in ill-fitting suits, murmuring about tragedy, handing me casseroles that congealed in the fridge. I signed the papers, buried the grief under bottles of Jack, and forced smiles at precinct barbecues. But deep down, in the quiet hours when the wind howled through the eaves, I knew. Jake's eyes had changed that day, harder, like he'd crossed a line he couldn't uncross. And I'd let him, because love is a blindfold, and betrayal is the knife that slips underneath. The nurse called my name around dawn, her scrubs patterned with cartoon stethoscopes, like she was trying to soften the blow of whatever fresh hell awaited. "Mrs. Harlow, we need to talk." Privately, she led me to a consult room, the kind with tissue boxes and inspirational posters about healing journeys. My heart hammered. Jake? Infection? Or was it the cancer I'd hidden from him? The lump in my breast that I'd ignored for months. Too scared to face another loss, she closed the door, handed me a styrofoam cup of coffee that tasted like regret. "This is unusual. We received a patient last night, early 20s, severe malnutrition, possible exposure. She was found wandering I-40 near the state line, muttering about Mama Peyton and a quarry. My cup slipped, scalding my thigh, but I didn't feel it. Ellie.
Alive.
DNA prelims match your records from the 1994 incident. It's her. Your daughter. The world tilted. 31 years. I'd mourned her. Built a shrine in my chest where her ghost rattled chains every birthday. Jake's story had held. No body recovered from the quarry's depths. Ruled accidental drowning by the coroner who'd owed him a favor.
But now?
A woman. Flesh and blood. Whispering my name like a prayer. Where is she? I choked out. My voice a stranger's. Trauma ward. Sedated.
She's
Not well. MS.
Harlow.
Physically. Yes. But mentally delirious. Talking about being hidden. A man with a badge who saved her but locked her away. The nurse's eyes softened.
Pity like a slap.
She says her name is Ellie. And she wants her mama. I bolted from the room. Corridors blurring into a white maze. The trauma ward smelled of antiseptic and despair. Beeping monitors a symphony of near-deaths. Room 214, a curtained alcove. And there she was. Not the baby I'd nursed in the dead of night, but a shadow of a woman, gaunt cheeks hollowed like the Dust Bowl faces in my grandma's photos. Dark hair matted and streaked with gray at 20 whatever she was now. Tubes snaked into her arms. IVs dripping life back into veins that had forgotten it. Her eyes. Though, those were mine. Stormy gray and fierce even in sleep. I sank into the chair, reaching for her hand, cool and bird-boned. Ellie, I whispered, tears carving rivers down my face. She stirred, lids fluttering. Mama? Her voice was a rasp, like she'd swallowed sand.
He said.
You'd forget. But I remembered. The water. He pulled me out, but then the cabin. Locked doors. For your safety, he said.
Jake.
My husband, the father who'd lost her. Not drowned.
Saved? Hidden?
The pieces slammed together like a car wreck. The quarry wasn't fate. It was a setup. He'd staged it, perhaps to cover a debt. A bribe gone wrong. Or God knows what rot festered in his soul. Cops aren't saints. They're just men with guns and grudges. And I'd carried the blame. The whispers at the diner. Poor Peyton. Can't even keep a baby safe, while he climbed ranks. Promotions bought with our shared silence. She drifted off again. But her words ignited something feral in me. Revenge isn't a word. It's a fire that consumes from the inside. I'd shot him in the knee for the lies I suspected. But this was biblical. Eye for eye, daughter for daughter. As the sun clawed over the horizon, painting the blinds in bloody stripes, I slipped out, phone in hand. First call, my lawyer cousin in Dallas, voice thick with sleep. Peyton? Jesus. It's barely light. Second, the burner I'd bought years ago, for the what-ifs that kept me awake. I dialed the number I'd never used, the one from the anonymous tip line I'd set up after finding Jake's side business, Ledger, kickbacks from truckers. Pills funneled through the evidence locker. But Ellie was the hook that yanked me under. She woke fully around noon, nurses fluttering like worried hens. Mama, don't let him find me, she pleaded, her grip vice-tight. He said if I ran, he'd say I was crazy. That you gave me up, lies layered on lies. Jake had spun a web, to the world. She was dead, to her. I was the monster who abandoned her. Locked in some off-grid cabin. Probably one of those hunting shacks he bragged about in the Ozarks. Fed scraps and fairy tales to keep her small. I fed her Jell-O, stroked her hair, pieced together the fragments. Born in '94. The quarry plunge at 6 months. Jake's distraction from a botched drug bust where he'd skimmed product. Owed money to the wrong cartel lieutenant. Instead of paying, he faked the accident, hid her away as collateral.
A living ghost to buy time.
He visited sometimes, Ellie murmured, eyes distant. Brought toys.
Candy. Said it was our secret game.
But the locks. They clicked like teeth. By evening, Jake was out of surgery, doped up in recovery. I didn't visit. Instead, I drove home through the downpour. The old Ford pickup hydroplaning on slicks like my grip on sanity. The house was a tomb, wedding photos mocking from mantels. Ellie's baby blanket folded neat in the hall closet, yellowed with time. I pulled the pistol from my purse, cleaned it methodically, the ritual calming my shakes. Revenge wasn't rash, it was chess. And Jake had just kinged me. That night, as thunder rolled like artillery, I started digging. Not graves, digital ones. Laptop open on the kitchen table. Rain lashing windows. I hacked into his email with the password I'd known since our honeymoon, his mother's maiden name. Ironic as hell. Folders upon folders. Payoffs. Photos of mistresses in squad cars. And there, buried in deleted items, a grainy scan of a birth certificate. Altered. Ellie's name crossed out for, adopted to safety. The cabin's address. GPS pins in a map app. Rural Arkansas. Near the Buffalo River. A speck on no man's land. My phone buzzed, precinct number. I let it ring. Heart pounding. Voicemail. Jake's partner. Ramirez. Voice gravelly. Peyton. What the fuck? Jake's ranting about you shooting him. Some bullshit about the kid. Get down here. I deleted it. Blocked the line. No more playing wife. I was Mother Bear now. Claws out. Dawn broke gray and sodden. I packed a go bag, clothes, cash from the mattress stash, $5 grand, emergency fund for the what if he leaves I'd never voiced, the pistol, and Ellie's blanket. Hospital next. Ellie was stable. But child services was sniffing. An overzealous social worker with a clipboard and questions. Ma'am, this is highly irregular. We need to verify parentage. Custody. She's my blood. I snapped, channeling the steel I'd forged in years of precinct wives' coffee clutches. DNA's pending full. But prelims say yes. And her father's the one who hit her. Call the DA if you want. But I'm not leaving her side. The worker, MS. Hargrove, badge gleaming like judgment, frowned. But Ellie's plea tipped it. Please, Mama. Don't go. We waited out the bureaucracy in tense silence. Ellie dozing. Me scrolling news on my phone. Jake's shooting was buried in local feeds. Officer wounded in domestic dispute. No mention of Ellie yet. Good. Let him stew. By afternoon. Full DNA confirmed. 99.9% match. Hargrove relented. But with strings, supervised release. Psych eval for Ellie. I signed. Mind racing to the cabin. What if Jake had accomplices? His flips were legendary. Buddy one day. Snitch the next. Climbing ladders on broken backs. Ramirez. For one, loyal to Jake. But I'd seen him eye the captain's chair. Resentment simmering. Ellie discharged into my care. Frail as a reed. Bundled in a hoodie 2 sizes too big. We drove east. Toward Arkansas. The pickup eating miles under a sky the color of bruises. Tell me everything, I said, one hand on the wheel, the other on hers. She did. In fits and starts, the cabin's isolation, canned beans and Bible stories from Jake's visits, homeschooling via dog-eared textbooks. He said you were dead.
Mama.
Drowned trying to save me. But I dreamed of you, singing You Are My Sunshine.
Lies.
All of it, woven to keep her compliant, me broken. We stopped at a motel off I-40. Neon sign flickering vacancy like a bad omen. Ellie showered while I paced. Pistol on the nightstand. Call to the burner. Anonymous tip to the state police. Officer Jacob Harlow. Badge 472. Human trafficking. Girl held 30+ years. Address follows.
Click.
Let the machine grind him. But Jake was slippery. By midnight, my real phone lit up, unknown number. I answered. Breath held.
His voice.
Slurred but sharp. Peyton. You think you can end this?
She's mine.
I saved her for us. Laughter. Wet and wrong. Come get me. If you dare. I'm waiting. The line died. Ellie stirred in the queen bed, eyes wide. Was that him? I nodded. Fury coiling like smoke. Revenge wasn't a shot in the dark, it was a siege. Tomorrow, we'd face the cabin, empty now. Probably. But evidence waited. Photos. Ledgers. The locks that scarred her psyche. We hit the Buffalo River at dusk. Gravel crunching under tires like bones. The cabin squatted in a hollow. Clapboard sagging. Windows blind with dust. Ellie hung back. Trembling. I can't go in. I went alone. Flashlight beam cutting shadows. Inside, stale air. Caught with threadbare quilt. Drawings pinned to walls. Childish scrawls of a woman and girl holding hands. Labeled Mama and me. My gut twisted. A safe in the corner. Combination his birthday. Inside, cash stacks. Fake IDs. And a letter, yellowed. Addressed to me. Dated 1994. Peyton, if you're reading this, it's over. The bust went south. I took the fall for Ramirez. Skimmed to cover. Needed a ghost. Ellie was it. She's safe here. Till I fix it.
Don't hate me. Love.
Jake.
Bastard.
He'd pinned the skim on himself publicly, but hit her as insurance against the cartel. Flipped on his partner to save skin. Then flipped back. Loyalty a coin toss. And me, the patsy wife, mourning a dead child while he played hero. Footsteps outside. Ellie. Silhouette in the door. Mama.
Lights.
Down the hill. Headlights pierced the trees. 2 rigs. Unmarked. But I knew the growl. Precinct cruisers. Jake's cavalry. Ramirez's voice boomed. Peyton Harlow.
Step out.
Armed and dangerous. I grabbed the letter. Pistol. Dragged Ellie to the back. We bolted into the woods. Branches whipping like accusations. Gunshots cracked, warning? Or eager. We ran. River rushing ahead. Cold and black as the quarry's memory. Ellie stumbled. Ankle twisting. Leave me. Never again. I hoisted her. Lungs burning. The riverbank slick with mud. Voices closed in. Jake's bellow. She's got the girl.
Taking alive.
Irony. The man who'd buried her alive wanting her breathing now. We hit the water. Plunge shocking like rebirth. Current yanked us downstream. Hidden by willows and night. Hours later, we washed up miles down. shivering on a sandbar. Ellie coughed.
Alive.
I checked the burner, no signal. But the letter burned in my pocket.
Proof.
Dawn found us hiking to a payphone at a gas station. Calling my cousin. Get us to Dallas.
Now.
Extraction. A cousin's plane. Private strip. Cash under table. By noon. We were airborne. Ellie asleep against my shoulder. Texas sprawling below like a fresh start. But Jake wouldn't stop. Texts flooded my new burner. You can't run forever. She's a ghost. Cops'll say you kidnapped her. Flips again, now painting me the villain. Ramirez. 2. Voicemails threatening warrants. Dallas was a whirlwind. Safe house. Lawyers. Press leaks. I went public. Oklahoma Morning News. My face gaunt on screens. My husband faked our daughter's death to cover his crimes. She's alive. And we're fighting back. Controversy erupted. Justice for Ellie trended. But so did fake news cop wife. Trolls calling me fame-hungry. Ellie a hoax. Jake's union spun it. Devoted father shot by unstable spouse. The hearing loomed, custody battle in family court. Jake on crutches. Playing martyr. Ellie testified. Voice steady. He locked me away. Mama's my home. But his lawyer twisted. Stockholm? Or coached? Polarizing. Pundits debated. Was I hero or harpy? Had Jake protected her from my instability? Chow Treo hit in the courthouse hallway. Post-ruling. Judge granted me temporary custody. Pending trial. Jake cornered us. Crutch like a cane. Eyes wild. You did this.
Pay.
For what? The kid was safe. Safe? I laughed. Bitter. Safe like a prisoner? He lunged, crutch swinging. I dodged. Pistol drawn from purse, permit renewed. Texas style. Ellie screamed. Ramirez burst in. Gun out. Chaos. Shots exchanged. Ramirez dropping. Hit in the chaos. Jake's bullet? Mine? Gray area. Witnesses split. Jake fled. But not far. We tracked him to an old precinct safe house. Me and a PI I'd hired. Ellie's safe in Dallas. Stakeout. 2 days. Rain again. Tension thick as fog. He emerged. Bag in hand running. Or meeting the cartel ghost. I confronted him alone. Pistol steady.
Why?
Jake? The skim. The lies. Could have confessed. He smirked. That old charm cracking. For us.
Pay.
Ramirez flipped first. I hit her to force his hand. Borrowed her like a chip.
But you.
You carried it. My rock. Betrayal's knife twisted. I'd borne the grief for his scheme. Innocent in the crossfire. And now, we end it. He raised his piece, flipping one last time. To self-preservation. But I shot first. Center mass. No knee mercy. He fell, gasping. Tell Ellie. Daddy loved her. Sirens wailed. Cops swarmed his own. Twist, Ramirez. Dying declaration via radio. Harlow set me up. Years ago. The girl, insurance on me.
Wait.
What? Jake hadn't flipped on Ramirez, vice versa. The skim was joint. Jake hid Ellie to pin it all on his partner. Climbing alone. I'd grieved for nothing. A double cross within the cross.
Trial.
Manslaughter plea. Controversial as hell. Prosecutors painted me vigilante. Defense. Avenging angel. Ellie testified. Mama freed me. Jury split. Hung twice. Third time, not guilty. Self-defense. But the debate raged. Was justice served? Or mob rule? Jake's ghost-haunted headlines, corrupt cop or flawed father. Ending? Ellie and I in a craftsman in Austin. Her in community college. Me writing the book, proceeds to trafficking survivors. Happy? Surface yes. Sunsets on Lady Bird Lake. Her laughter filling rooms. But by kitsch lurks. Nightmares of locks clicking. My hands forever stained. And that final twist, Ramirez's widow sent a letter. Your husband confessed on tape.
Before the end.
Ellie wasn't just insurance, she was mine. He stole her from us both. Borrowed or bartered. The truth fractures. Leaving us, me, Ellie, even Jake's shade, in moral fog. Who betrayed whom? You'll argue it for years. The Austin sun baked the porch boards under my bare feet. The kind of relentless Texas heat that made you question God's sense of humor, scorching 1 minute, thunderstorm the next. Just like the life Ellie and I were piecing together. It had been 6 months since the courthouse shootout, since Jake's body slumped against that rusted warehouse wall, his blood pooling like spilled coffee from our last real morning together. The not guilty verdict had come down like a gavel on glass, shattering expectations, leaving cracks where doubt seeped in. Reporters still camped at the end of our street sometimes, vans with satellite dishes pointed skyward like accusatory fingers, hungry for the next soundbite on the Harlow heist, as they dubbed it. Ellie called it our do-over, but some nights, when the cicadas screamed and shadows stretched long, I wondered if we'd just traded one cage for another. Ellie was thriving. Or so the therapist said, her psych eval a weekly ritual of coloring books and processing trauma in a beige office downtown. At 26, she looked every bit the survivor, sharp cheekbones emerging from the gauntness, hair growing out in waves that caught the light like my mother's. She enrolled in graphic design at Austin Community College, sketching logos for local bands on her beat-up MacBook, her laughter a foreign melody in our rented Craftsman. Mama, check this, it's for a blues trio. All thorns and guitars. I'd nod. Proud. But inside, the hook twisted. Every smile reminded me of the years stolen. The flips Jake pulled that left us both collateral. I'd started the book. As promised, nights at the kitchen table. Laptop glowing like a confessional. Words spilling out raw and unfiltered. Buried alive, a mother's reckoning. Publishers circled like vultures. Smelling scandal. But I wrote for Ellie. For the girls still locked in metaphorical cabins across America. The Advance bought this house, modest. 2-bed with creaky oak floors and a backyard swing where we sipped iced tea and watched fireflies duel. No more pickup trucks or precinct barbecues, just us. Rebuilding from ash. But Jake's ghost was stubborn. Letters arrived weekly, fan mail. Hate mail. A bizarre mix. One from a Tulsa widow. You did what we all dream, shot the bastard who lied. Another from a cop's wife in uniform stationery. Monster. He was providing. Polarizing. Just like the trial. The jury forewoman, a retired nurse with kind eyes, had hugged me post-verdict. We saw the love. Peyton. Not the hate. But online? Forums boiled. Reddit threads dissecting every angle. Twitter storms. Peyton the Avenger versus Justice for Jake, turning strangers into judges. Ellie avoided it. But I couldn't, refreshing feeds like picking scabs. That changed the day the widow's letter landed. Ramirez's wife. Carla, we'd never met, but her name haunted Jake's old voicemails, a punchline in his drunk rants. The envelope was plain. Postmarked Albuquerque. No return. Inside. Lined notebook paper. Handwriting shaky, like wind through cottonwoods. Dear Peyton, I know what you think, that my Diego was the villain. The flipper who sold out your Jake. But truths have layers. Like onions that make you cry. He told me everything on his deathbed. Tape hidden in our safe. Jake didn't just hide Ellie for the skim. He bartered her.
To me.
Diego skimmed first. But Jake covered. Demanded collateral, a favor from the precinct orphanage fund. Your baby, fresh from the hospital, marked for adoption. Jake stole her back. Faked the death to keep the leverage. Diego flipped to expose him. But Jake pinned it all, made my husband the fall guy. Ellie was the key. Innocent. Hidden. A ghost to haunt us both. Forgive?
No.
But understand, we were all pawns. Carla. Enclosed, a cassette tape. Labeled Confession Dr. October 15th, 2025. My hands trembled as I slotted it into an old boombox. They were like a heartbeat. Diego's voice crackled through. Labored breaths between words. Carla. It's Jake. He took the girl, Peyton's baby, said it was insurance on me. But then the quarry. He drowned the evidence. Or so we thought. Hid her in Arkansas. Told her lies about her mama abandoning. I tried to get her out. Tipped the social worker. But he flipped on me, planted the ledger. Got me demoted. The skim was his idea. Always.
Ellie.
She's the innocent. Tell Peyton. Sorry. The tape ended in static. A cough that echoed like finality. Layers. Jake hadn't just betrayed me. He'd orchestrated a house of cards. Flipping alliances like channels on a bad TV. Ramirez Diego was no saint, but the scapegoat. And Ellie? Bartered like poker chips in a game neither of us played. I confronted the safe house memory. Jake's last smirk. For us. Us who? Not me. Not Ellie. Carla? Or the empire he built on bones. Fury reignited, not hot, but cold. Calculated. The book needed this. The truth needed air. But first,
Ellie.
I found her in the backyard, sketching under the pecan tree, charcoal smudging her fingers. Mama, you okay? Face like thunder. We sat on the swing, tape between us like contraband. I played it, her face draining of color with each revelation. Bartered? Like. Property. Tears welled. But anger flashed, my girl. Fire in her veins. He lied to everyone. Even in death. That night, we burned Jake's old photos in a fire pit, flames devouring his grin, the precinct medals glinting like fool's gold. To new starts, Ellie toasted with a S-more stick. But sleep evaded. I paced, mind mapping next moves. Call Carla, leak the tape, or bury it deeper. Let the controversy simmer without fuel. Morning brought a knock. Federal agents. Badges gleaming. Faces stone. MS. Harlow, FBI. We need to talk about Jacob Harlow's assets. Seized in the aftermath, offshore accounts. Cartel ties unearthed in the scandal's wake. Jake's flips extended further. Informant for the feds? Or double agent? They showed files. Wire transfers. A cabin deed in a shell corp. Ellie's education fund siphoned to mistresses. You're not a suspect, the lead. Agent Torres said. Coffee breath sharp. But your husband was dirty to the core. This tape, Ramirez's, could reopen cases. Human trafficking ring, 94 bus gone south. Ellie hovered in the doorway, eyes wide. You mean?
I was part of that.
Torres nodded.
Grim.
Collateral.
Kid. Common in these ops.
But Harlow twisted it personal. They left with copies. Promises of justice. Ellie retreated to her room. Door clicking like a lock. Echoes of the cabin. I drove to Carla's that afternoon. A dusty suburb outside OKC. The tape burning a hole in my glove box. She answered wary. Mid-40s like me. Lines etched by grief. A toddler on her hip. Diego's last gift? Peyton Harlow. The shooter. No venom. Just weariness. We talked on her stoop. Kids' toys scattered like minefields. She confirmed. Diego loved that girl. Saw her once. Smuggled candy. Jake caught wind. Threatened exposure. Flipped the narrative. Made Diego the thief. Tears mirrored mine. We were all betrayed, weren't we?
Betrayed.
The word hung, heavy as humidity. No heroes here, just survivors scraping dignity from wreckage. I handed her the tape original. For your piece. She clutched it,
Nodding.
And yours? The book. Half-truths, I admitted. But enough to warn others. Back home, Ellie waited with takeout tacos. Her sketchpad opened to a new design, a phoenix rising from a grave. Wings of barbed wire. For the cover? She asked. Hopeful. We ate on the porch.
Rapatriement tentative.
Like an apology. Mama, do we tell the world? About the barter? I chewed slow. Weighing. Controversy was our shadow. Lean into it. Or fade. Your call, baby. But remember, truth isn't clean. It'll split folks again, Jake the monster, or misguided dad, Diego saint or sinner. She traced the phoenix's eye. Let M argue. We know. Weeks blurred. Book deal inked. Ghostwriter hired, a no-nonsense Texan with a drawl like molasses. Promo tours looming. Ellie aced her first semester. Dated a barista with tattoos and kindness. Wary steps.
But steps. Me?
Cancer check. Clear. A small mercy. But the flips haunted. Jake's ledger revealed more. A sister I never knew. Disowned for running with the wrong crowd. Actually flipped into witness protection by him. For a price. The launch party was low-key. A bookstore on Congress Avenue. String lights and wine. Reporters lurked. But Ellie shone. Reading the dedication. To the daughters buried alive, not in earth, but in lies. Rise. Applause thundered. Polarizing as ever, signings for fans. Protests outside from cop unions. Post-party. Buzzed on Merlot. We walked home. Arm in arm. Proud?
I asked.
Damn right.
She squeezed.
But Mama. The ending. In the book, you kill him clean. Real life. Messy, I said. Like us. A car slowed. Black SUV. Tinted. Paranoia? Or Jake's ghost in new skin. It passed. Taillights fading. Inside. Ellie crashed. I poured a nightcap. Staring at the fire pit's ashes. Carla called late. Tape helped. DA's reopening 94. Diego cleared. Posthumous. Justice? Or just another layer peeled? Sleep came fitful. Dreams of quarries and locks. Jake's voice whispering. For us. Morning, package on the stoop. No stamp. Inside a locket. Ellie's baby photo nestled with a note. Handwriting Jake's. Found in his effects. Torres. FBI courtesy? Or twist? The photo, me holding her. Hospital glow.
Pure.
No blood. No betrayal. Yet. Ellie clasped it. Tears bright. Our do-over starts here. Happy? In fragments.
Yes.
By Kitsch in the cracks. The world debates. Avenger or assassin. Pawn or player. We live the gray. Flipping pages to tomorrow. The gray area thickened like fog off the Colorado, creeping into every corner of our Austin idyll, turning what should have been closure into a labyrinth of what-ifs. It was spring now, bluebonnets carpeting the hills like a false promise of peace. But the locket hung heavy around Ellie's neck, a talisman that whispered doubts even as she bloomed. College graduation loomed, her associates in design. Cap and gown photos staged with forced grins, and the book hit shelves with a thud, bestseller lists climbing amid the backlash. Protests at readings, blue line flags waving. Chants of cop killer, countered by survivor sisters' vigils. Candles flickering in solidarity. Polarizing perfection, no one walked away unchanged. And that's what made it stick. I'd become a reluctant icon, podcasts booking me for true crime tea, women's groups hailing me as a symbol of reclaimed agency. But mirrors lied. The woman staring back had crow's feet deeper than before. Eyes shadowed by the weight of revelations that kept unfolding like a bad hand of poker. Carla and I exchanged emails now. Tentative bridges over the chasm Jake left. Her. Updates on the DA's probe. Diego's name etched on a posthumous plaque at the precinct. Me. Snippets of Ellie's art. Proofs of life beyond the grave. One email shifted the ground. Peyton, feds found more in Jake's lockbox. A will. Naming Ellie's sole heir. Offshore. Millions skimmed over years. But condition, she claims it, testifies against his associates. Cartel remnants. Still active. Dangerous. Your call. Carla.
Milio.
The word tasted like ash. Jake. Flipping till the end. Legacy as lore or trap. Ellie. Fresh from finals. Read it over coffee. Steam curling like questions. Money from what? His dirt. Layers.
Baby.
Always. I explained. The skim wasn't one-off. Jake had run a shadow op. Funneling cartel cash through evidence lockers. Flipping intel to feds for cuts. Diego caught wind. Threatened exposure. Hence the barter. Ellie as the innocent, chipped to silence him. He built an empire on your back. Her jaw set. That Harlow's steel, ironic. His blood in her fire. Then we take it. Burn their house down. Brave words. But fear not. The feds met us in a sterile conference room downtown. Torres leading. His suit rumpled like forgotten promises. MS. Harlow, Ellie, the will's legit. For $20 mil.
Cayman accounts.
But claiming triggers deposition, names, dates, places from Jake's notes. Cartel won't like loose ends. Ellie leaned forward. Locket glinting. They buried me once. Let him try again. Torres eyed me. Your mother's the wild card. Peyton.
Your.
Actions complicate immunity. Manslaughter, not guilty. But scrutiny lingered, internal affairs sniffing for vigilante ties. I nodded. Poker face. She testifies. I back her. Full stop. The depot was hell. Fluorescent hum. Lawyers circling like sharks. Ellie's voice steady, but cracking on details. The cabin's creak. Jake's visits laced with lies. He said Mama drowned, but I saw the quarry news clippings he hid. Knew it was a lie. Cartel reps watched via proxy. Suits anonymous. But their shadow chilled the room. Post-depot. Threat started. Slashed tires on my Honda. Hang-ups at midnight. Ellie shrugged it off. Art school drama. But I hired security. A ex-Marine named Gus who blended like furniture. Book tour ramped. Dallas. Houston. Even a virtual to NYC. Where pundits debated live. Is Peyton Harlow empowering or enabling chaos? Calls flooded. Support hotlines for hidden kids. Death threats from Blue Lives zealots. Climax brewed in OKC. A signing at a mega bookstore. Crowd swelling with curiosity and bile. Protesters outside. Megaphones blaring. Justice for Jake. Inside. Fans queued. Stories pouring. My ex hit our son. Your story gave me courage. Ellie tagged along. Sketching portraits for buyers. Her Phoenix design, now a tattoo trend. Mid-event. Chaos erupted. Shouts from the entrance. Gus barreling through. Peyton, get down. Gunfire. Pop pop. Not blinks. Shelves splintering. Screams scattering the line.
¿Y dove?
Shielding a teen fan. Ellie's cry piercing. Mama, the shooter, ski masked. Cartel ink peeking on his wrist. Pistol barking till Gus tackled him. Knee to neck in a move that'd spark its own debate. Cops swarmed, irony. Badges Jake once wore, cuffing the gunman. Medics triaging. Ellie unscathed. But trembling, I had a graze on my arm. Superficial sting like paper cut from fate. News vans descended. Headlines. Harlow shooting. Revenge for fallen cop or cartel hit. Torres called that night. Motel safe house our temporary fort. Gunman ID'd. Low-level enforcer. Hired hit on the air. Will's frozen pending trial. Cartel link confirmed. Ellie bandaged my arm. Hands surgeon steady. We flipped it.
Mama.
They came. We stayed. But the twist gutted. Interrogation footage leaked. Hacked? Insider? Gunman ranting. Harlow owed us. The girl was payment. Jake flipped. Reneged. Diego too. Wait, payment? Ellie not collateral. But commodity? Jake hadn't bartered to silence Diego. He'd offered her to the cartel as debt settlement. Then double-crossed. Hiding her to keep the cash flow. Diego discovered. Tried to intervene. Hence the flip. Exposing Jake to feds. My husband, architect of abominations. Flipping everyone into perdition. Carla visited next day. Flight from ABQ. Hugging Ellie like long-lost kin. Diego wanted to save you.
Mia.
That's why the tape. We three, Survivors Club, poured files in the motel's dim. Piecing the mosaic. Jake's empire. Built on Ellie's absence. Crumbling under her return. Trial loomed. Federal RICO on the cartel. Jake's estate as Exhibit A. Ellie. Star witness, me. Character reference. Protesters swelled, now split. Anti-cartel hawks versus. Cop sympathizers decrying posthumous smear. Pundits feasted. Harlow women. Victims or vixens? We prepped in Austin's greenbelts. Walks turning therapy. What if they win? Ellie asked once. Bluebonnets brushing knees. They won't. But even if. We have each other. Truth, money or not. Freedom tasted sweeter. Verdict day. OKC Federal Courthouse. Security thicker than humidity. Ellie testified flawless. Lockett her anchor. Cartel boss, silver-haired. Suit sharp. Glared from the dock. But her words landed like bullets. You profited from my cage. No more. Guilty on all counts. Cheers erupted outside. But our booth was quiet relief. Not triumph. Torres handed keys. Accounts unseized. Yours.
Ellie. Milio.
We donated half to anti-trafficking orgs. Diego Ramirez scholarships. The rest? College funds. A cabin, ironic, in the Smokies. Unlocked doors and wide windows. Ending? We drove back to Austin at dusk. Radio humming Springsteen, Thunder Road, escape anthem. Ellie fiddled the locket. Happy. Mama? In the Gray? Yeah. By Kitch lingered. Jake's flip scarred us. But forged steel. World still argues heroines or harpies. But we flipped the page. Living the debate. The Smokies cabin became our sanctuary that summer. A far cry from Arkansas's prison. Log walls fragrant with pine. Wraparound porch overlooking mist-shrouded valleys where hawks wheeled like freedom scouts. Ellie and I escaped their post-trial. The millions a buffer against the world's roar. Though controversy clung like damp fog. Book sales soared into the stratosphere. Oprah's book club gnawed sealing it, turning our story into cultural shrapnel. Netflix optioned the rights. We nixed the gore. Insisted on nuance. TED Talks beckoned with resilience in betrayal, hooks. But the flips kept coming. Not Jake's, but life's. Echoes that tested if we'd truly risen or just postponed the fall. Ellie dove into her bachelor's at UT Austin. Graphic design morphing into advocacy art. Murals for shelters. Album covers for survivor anthems. Her boyfriend, Marco, the tattooed barista, stuck. His easy laugh a bomb. Though trust came slow, she'd flinch at sudden touches. Ghosts of locked doors. He's good. Mama, she'd say over FaceTime from campus. Dorm room posters of her phoenix glaring defiant. But sometimes, I hear the click. Me, the cancer scare evolved into vigilance, mammograms quarterly, yoga for the soul, but the real tumor was solitude. Carla visited often now. Our trio expanding to a chosen family, her toddler, little Diego Jr., toddled across our porch, calling me Tia Pei, oblivious to the bloodlines tangled. We grilled burgers, swapped stories, her, Diego's heroics and undercover stings, me, Jake's early charm, the boy who'd promised stars before delivering chains. But the gray deepened with a letter from Torres. Forwarded from the Fed's OKC field office. Harlow, one more layer. Jake's DNA in the system flagged a match, half-sibling to Ellie. Your daughter has a brother? 28. In witness protection. Name redacted. But he's reaching out, says Jake. Gifted him a new life after flip gone wrong. Gifted? Jake's euphemism for selling souls. Ellie's face crumpled over the note. Marco's arm around her on the cabin couch. A brother? Hidden too. We pieced it. Jake's disowned sister, my phantom sibling, had a son. Teen runaway Jake, rescued, via precinct connections. Flipped into Fed protection to testify against a rival gang. In return, silence on the skim. And Ellie as unwitting balance in the ledger. He played God, she whispered. Reshuffling lives like cards. We petitioned for contact, red tape thick as kudzu, but weeks later, he arrived, thin, tall, and wiry. Eyes like Jake's but softer. Scarred knuckles from street fights. Witness protection lift partial. Supervised meet at a Knoxville neutral site cafe. Fog machines in the parking lot like a noir set. Aunt Peyton, he said. Handshake firm. Or Mom. Jake was. Complicated. Brother to Ellie. Nephew to me, family fractal. He spilled. Orphaned young. Jake's intervention, a kidnapping masked as salvation. Flipped testimony buying his fresh start in Cali. He said it was for the greater good. But I heard whispers, the baby girl. The quarry. Guilt ate him. I think.
Guilt?
Jake's final smirk replayed. No remorse. Just calculation. Ethan stayed the weekend. Hiking trails with Ellie. Bonds forming tentative shared DNA. Shared deception. You're free now, I told him over Esmores. Fire crackling confessions. No more flips. But fate laughed. A tabloid drop. Photos leaked, us three at the cafe. Headlines screaming, Harlow Dynasty. More secrets unearthed. Controversy reignited. Family of flippers trending. Trolls digging graves anew. Cop forums vilified. Blood tells, all crooks. Survivor pages rallied. Breaking chains. One truth at a time. Ethan bolted back to protection. Rattled. I can't drag you down. Ellie raged. Punching pillows. Why can't it end? Marco held her. I poured wine. Toasting to the mess. Fall brought harvest. Ellie's thesis show. Gallery walls alive with her work. Installations of rusted locks morphing into keys. Projections of quarry waters turning to rivers of light. Opening night. Packed. Flashbulbs popping. Marco beaming proud. Carla brought Diego Jr., who finger-painted a phoenix on the program, smudged orange glory.
Mid-crowd.
A face from the fog, the cartel boss. Out on technicality. Suit rumpled. Eyes venom. No gun, parole terms, but his whisper to me in the throng. Harlow women steal what's owed. Flips end bad. Gus materialized, escorting him out. But the chill lingered. That night. Drive home tense. Rain sheeting windshield. Ellie clutched the locket. He can't touch us now. But doubt seated. The Will's millions drew sharks. Jake's flips left debts unpaid. Climax crashed New Year's Eve. Cabin party. Small. Us. Marco. Carla's crew. Ethan's video call from hiding. Fireworks boomed over the valley. Champagne fizzed. But at midnight, my phone buzzed. Burner. Long dormant. Unknown. Peyton. It's over. Jake. Impossible. Voice distorted. But cadence familiar. The boy Ethan flipped.
Testified against me.
Again. Cartels coming for the air.
Click.
Heart hammered, hoax. Or Jake's ghost by a proxy. Ethan confirmed next day. And I got a tip, cartel mole in protection. They're gunning for loose ends. You. Ellie, targets. Siege mentality. Feds reinstated guard. Cabin fortified. Ellie. Defiant. We don't hide. But fear flipped her, nights pacing. Marco's comfort rebuffed. What if I'm the curse? Jake's blood. Drawing dark. No, I snapped, gripping her shoulders. You're the light he couldn't dim. The hit came dawn. Snow dusting peaks like powdered regret. Black SUVs tore up the drive. Ski masks and semis, cartel cleanup. Gus fired first. Shotgun roar scattering them. But they flanked, bullets pinging logs. Glass shattering. Ellie barricaded in the loft. Marco shielding, I grabbed the old pistol. Jake's relic. Chambering rounds with steady hands. Down, Torres yelled over radio. Feds swarming from Treeline, ambush sprung. Gunfire symphony. Pops and cracks. Snow staining red. The leader unmasked in the fray, cartel lieutenant. Face twisted. Harlow debt paid in blood. But twist. He lunged not for Ellie, but me, whispering as cuffs clicked. Your husband flipped on us all.
But the boy.
Ethan sold the last intel. For you.
Ethan?
Our new kin. Flipping to protect? Confirmation later. He'd infiltrated deep. Bait for the trap. Hero or hound? Debate fodder anew. Cleanup, 2 perps down. Leader cuffed. Cabin Swiss cheese, but standing. Ellie emerged. Unscathed. Hugging Ethan via urgent flight. Tears and thanks. Brother, she murmured. Locket shared between them. Ending fractured. Millions safe. Cartel crippled. But scars fresh. We rebuilt, bigger porch. Therapy circles. Book sequel penned. Flips and phantoms. World argues eternal. Peyton the Avenger. Cursed or chosen. Ellie the heir. Victim or victor. Ethan the flipper. Redeemer or rogue. We live the questions. In Smokey's mist. Flipping toward dawn. Happy? In the doing.
Big cake.
In the knowing. Yours to debate.